Hey, I'm Brandon with Knowing God. I'm going to tell you tonight about a time at the end of my struggle with addiction that I had an overdose. Now, it wasn't like a normal overdose because I didn't know it was going to happen. It was definitely accidental. But what happened was I took the drug and it was like I blinked my eyes, and when I opened them, I had tubes coming out of my throat. Well, in that blink, there's a memory. Now, in that memory, all I remember is being in a dark place, like really dark. And I could hear myself thinking that I didn't have hands or feet, but I was just this point of consciousness, and I was screaming. I was like, "Hello!" And I could hear myself screaming, but there was no echo, and there was no light, there was no one around. And then it was this hand that picked me up out of the darkness, and when I come to, there was tubes coming out of my throat. Well, as I opened my eyes after this blink, and I remember how this memory, and I opened my eyes, I could see my mother and my best friend and my brother and my sister, and they were freaking out. And I started tearing up because I knew that I didn't go to heaven. So I looked at my mom and I was like, I didn't go to heaven. Well, she kind of brushed it off, but I knew what had happened. Later on, I found out, because I wanted to know what this was, what this dark place was. And, I had always thought that I was a good enough person to go to heaven. You hear all these stories about the light, everybody going towards the light. I didn't go there. I went to a dark place. So I researched and found out what this dark place was. And what it was hell. The definition of hell is the absence of all that is good in light. So that's where I went, was this place called hell. And it was actually one of the outer realms of hell. It's called the abyss. Well, knowing that, I done a lot of research about what it was and why I went there. Because I thought I was a good person. I thought that I would, at least go into the light, or, be welcomed by the light, but I wasn't. And later on, I found out that it wasn't about the good things that I did. It wasn't about me being a good person or opening doors for people or loving people or nothing like that. It was about what God done for me, and the fact that I wasn't recognizing that as a Christian. I thought I could work my way to heaven, and God allowed me to see that and to experience that darkness because I wasn't living right. I wasn't living for Him, even though I knew better. And once I found out that it wasn't about what I did in life, it was about what His Son done for me by dying on the cross and living that life out in forgiveness and showing people forgiveness. That's when my life began to change. So there are people out there that are watching this that think that they can do something to get to heaven, and they can be a good person and die and go to heaven. But it's not about that. It's not about being a good person. It's not about what you do. It's not about how you do it. It's not even about how you love other people or how you love God. It's about letting Him love you and accepting His Son and believing in what He done for you. He died for all your sins at a one-time payment so that you can be forgiven and brought into the Holy of Holies, into heaven, and be with God. And once you start realizing that, your heart begins to change. And then you too can actually be saved. There are a lot of Christians out there that aren't saved. They believe that they can do something to get to heaven. They believe that they can go to church and they can pray, but they don't believe in their heart that Jesus done for them what they couldn't do for themselves. That's the difference. You have to believe that Jesus done for you what you can't do for yourself.